How you doing, Tank?
I'm pretty good. I'm here in this chair, sitting in front of this microphone, talking.
It's Friday
Yeah.
night. That's exciting.
It's Friday night.
Wow, what are you doing? Just moving my cables around?
Yes. They're in the way of my hand at that particular moment.
All right.
Yep.
There.
This is a
There
real
it is.
cold open.
I'm just going to use that part where Stitch tries to explain his cold cut joke.
See, what happens is a cold cut is cold meat.
Unless we talked about something funnier.
Your face.
I want to hear about these.
There's
cold
a
cuts.
lot of face there.
These cold cuts?
Uh-huh.
See, what happens is we they take deli meat, they cook it.
Right.
A lot of times they process it very heavily,
Right.
and then they kind of put it all together.
Oh.
Oh,
That was a horrible sound.
Well,
that's the sound of processing deli meat right there.
And then what they do is they just keep it cool, and they cut it for you.
Right.
Put it between two pieces of bread. I'll tell you how bread works, or
Okay.
how bread is made later,
Oh,
and
okay.
how it works if you want.
I'd like to know that.
Okay, great. But then they
Dude.
may put like cheese and
Right.
some lettuce, tomatoes, maybe some onions.
What about like condiments, like sauces or anything?
This is a family show. Don't talk about your condiments on here.
Okay.
And then what they do is they put another piece of bread on top of that. Cut
But you
it.
still haven't explained what bread is.
That's for the
I'm
next episode.
confused.
I need to understand how you're holding it together. You can't just tell me.
I'm inferring from
You hold
context
together
until I get a better explanation.
You hold it
so.
together with your hands when you eat it.
So your hands
Wait,
are the bread.
wait.
bread is hands.
Wait.
Yes.
I don't use like a knife and fork to eat this.
You can. You shouldn't.
So you put cold cuts and cheese and lettuce and nothing else, because this is a family show,
Right.
on your hand, and then you hold it up and eat it.
Yes.
You hold it together with your other hand. if
Yes.
you need to like move it around
Yeah.
too much.
Why do we call it bread though? I don't just say handsies.
It's because
because
humans are
bread is actually French for hands.
yes.
Interesting.
That's what I was going to say too when I said
Interesting.
humans are.
I mean, French people are humans.
Humans are
Yes.
hands.
Yeah, so humans are.
How can eyes be real?
This is like the worst thing we've ever
It
recorded.
really is. We should probably burn all of it and
So-
start over.
So our body begins and ends at hands.
So- Are you
Lover.
gonna keep doing your little bit?
Yes.
About-
Yes.
He'll never stop. This is going to be cold cut night.
Is this just gonna be an entire episode of our cold open
I mean,
where you explain
cold cuts.
every kind of food that you eat,
I mean,
Oh,
well,
man.
I could talk about that Taco Bell,
as
but
if we're aliens that haven't experienced food before?
I'm still questioning if you are
What is
not
this
an
food?
alien.
I've heard of bachelor chow now with flavor.
Oh, that's good stuff. I've heard of bachelors eating gorilla chow.
Yeah, me too. Gorilla pellets.
Uh huh. And then breaking down in tears when they smell a hot
Is,
dog.
is that what the show The Bachelor is about? Is about
It is,
somebody
actually.
eating gorilla pellets?
Yeah, there's that other spinoff they tried to do with like some guy dating a bunch of people, but the original was just the gorilla pellet.
That sounds really stupid. They should really just stick with the guy eating gorilla pellets.
I would watch that if it was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
me
I'm
too.
still disappointed.
You know what? Reality TV isn't stupid enough. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
if it was real
agreed.
stupid, I'd be more inclined to watch it.
Right.
Reality TV
If
now,
they just
now
really-
with less reality.
They keep trying to tone back the stupid and make things seem gritty and real.
Yeah.
If they
That's
just
the
embrace
worst.
the inanity of the concept,
This man's going to eat nothing but ketchup for 4 weeks.
right? And it's Big Brother style in a house full of cameras.
Yeah. That's what I want.
Just watch his mental breakdown.
Hey, they had a show like that in Japan.
The Fool's Lantern, Episode 5, Genre Blindness. Howdy, y'all! You're listening to... That doesn't sound right. That just doesn't sound right. Howdy, y'all! You're listening to the Fool's Lantern podcast, where we discuss current and classic TV and force ourselves to watch the shows we hate. My name is Mark, and I'm here with...
Tank, here, hi.
Man,
Shanna.
we are filled with energy today.
Oh, boy.
And I am Patrick.
You went out of order, so I was confused.
Yeah, I got real
You
confused.
You leapt directly across the group instead of going in a circle.
No, I just made a gesture
You
to
were like-
everyone
Shanna, hold
else,
on.
but I looked
Shanna.
at you directly and locked eyes.
Did you just say you got Roku fused?
I got
Roku fused.
Yes.
Roku fused.
Okay.
There are no words happening right now.
Oh my god.
Today we'll finish our Fargo showcase by discussing episodes 9 and 10, talk about the shows canceled this season, and explain another trope.
Oh, yeah.
Fool's Lantern is part of the Frozen North podcast network. You can follow us on Twitter at Fool's Lantern. Email us at foolslanternpodcast@gmail.com. Please subscribe to and rate us on iTunes. And finally, all our episodes and more can be found on fngaming.net. So what have you all been watching? Stitch?
Oh. I've been watching Fargo.
Didn't this happen last time?
You have to watch the
I
television.
know.
Well, he doesn't have to.
I don't
true.
have to.
As long as
No, but I've also, of course, still been watching Arrow, and been watching a little bit of the following. Like I've seen like about 2 episodes worth, and then I made fun of the person watching it and left.
were these the first 2 episodes or just randomly in the middle?
They were just randomly in the middle. It's just more because I like to make fun of. Yeah.
Terrible.
But I do plan pretty soon, probably for next episode, I want to watch Game of Thrones, get caught up for the new
That's a
season.
lot for you to watch if you haven't watched anything before.
Look,
And that's
You said you hated
you are
Game of
you know
Thrones.
what? You are like the worst person for Game of Thrones. Not just you're the worst person. Is that what you thought I was going to say?
You were just the worst person.
it's not the first. That's not the first time somebody's called me that, and that's not the first time
but-
you've said that to me.
But true. But this is a show that has so much mythology, so much setting, and
It's all about those characters.
relies so much on you being invested in the characters and caring what happens. This is like the worst show possible for you.
Which is why
I
I'm
would
watching
say.
it.
I think you'll make 4 episodes in and then quit.
I made it 2. I want to try to beat my record. Or I made it 2 before, and I want
Do
to
you
try.
get any enjoyment out of watching it, or are you just doing it because
I mean,
you
to be
think
fair,
you should be watching it?
I didn't enjoy the first 2 episodes. It wasn't until I understood who the characters were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know how you guys do it. Luckily, I read the books, so I'm able to keep them straight really easily. But in the show, it seems like it's very difficult to keep track of
The real problem with
new
it,
characters.
honestly, the real problem with it is that, like when I was watching it, it's kind of like it's getting exhausting near the end, just because of how long those episodes feel. Sometimes, those 2 episodes I watched, of course, and so I'm gonna start watching that, try to get caught up, see if I can get caught up, and how much I like it.
All right, so the answer was Stitch has watched nothing.
I watched
Except
Arrow.
for what he was required to watch. That Fargo, yeah.
So what about you, Tank?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I was leaning back and yawning. I watched Community, a couple episodes of that I hadn't seen yet. Season 6 is still going on. I
still
think they're on
haven't
the 5th episode now. Still just really solid.
I heard this
last
is
2
yeah.
episodes were really, really on point, really funny. Just fantastic writing, fantastic performances. The new characters are fitting in really well. Keith David has just a couple of great lines in the most recent episode. And Ken Jeong gets to play Mr. Miyagi in a stage adaptation of The Karate
Nice.
Kid. And
nice.
it's glorious. So
That's
good. Everyone needs to watch Community. And Dan Harmon on his podcast a couple weeks ago said that he was at a party with a bunch of Yahoo people, and they were talking ratings, and he said he can't say the actual numbers, but they were 4 or 5 times more than his most optimistic expectations.
Huh.
Yeah, he was like,
Like,
I knew people were watching this show.
Making the suggestion that if it's doing more viewership than most major network shows,
Or-
it's keeping up with,
Or it's being tracked properly.
tracked
right.
properly.
I mean,
That's
since
the
they're
big
actually
point.
counting the people that are watching it,
Right.
it's keeping up with everything.
Nice.
So it's a very good show, doing very well. See, I also watched, I think I watched the most recent episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I didn't watch the one from yesterday or Tuesday. What day of the week it is?
Right,
I don't
so,
know. I didn't watch
good.
the most recent
We
one.
talked about it
2 weeks ago.
last episode,
Yeah.
and then I subsequently forgot that it was a show,
Right.
and didn't come watch it with you on Tuesday.
Right.
And then I also watched that episode last night, actually, not one episode behind
Right.
from what's out right now,
Yeah.
which kind of brought back the interesting plot.
Right.
that-
Yeah. The Inhuman stuff is popping back up again, which is the really interesting plot line that they're following right now, getting more superpowers involved.
And there's this weird other plot going on
Mm-hmm.
with Edward James Olmos that, to me, feels like they just put it in there to create false motivation for a character
Yeah.
because it doesn't really make sense otherwise.
Right.
So
Yeah.
mixed bag.
Right. Yeah. It's got its highs and its lows, and it's wildly varying in between the two of those.
Yes.
That just sounds like. Oops, sorry.
And then probably the only other thing I watched was a little bit of Lost. I've been watching through the first season again.
Hey,
Why
well,
would
he's
you
watching
do
through
that?
that's the good stuff.
The first season.
I'll say I like Lost a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it gets really bad later on, I still like it a lot. It's a really important show
it's
from
got a special place in my
right.
heart,
I mean, it was
yeah.
like it's the first show that did this kind of TV that we all love, like the big, like connected stories and the the mythology and the lore and the plots and the characters being so deep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the
I mean, it's
episode-
certainly the most popular
Right.
show like this.
yeah, and it created that like cultural movement of watching a show together with society,
Yeah.
which had happened before, but not quite to that degree.
Yeah, it's like the start of the golden age.
Right, and it hit with the boom of the internet being so broadly accessible.
Yeah.
I mean, and
That
people
like
that would
forums
never,
would fill up with fan theories and
Right.
stuff like that really gave it a lot of legs.
and someone that would never pick up like a hard sci-fi novel
Right.
and read that talking about where the polar bears came from.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the episode I just watched was Deus Ex Machina, which is I think one of the best episodes in the series, where
near the end of
you
season?
find out about Locke's father and kind of some of his
Yes.
backstory before, and it's just phenomenal acting, phenomenal music,
Yeah.
writing, directing. I mean, it's just a perfect hour of television, so good, and like a pivotal moment for the whole series going forward too. So it's I like Lost. It gets crappy later on, and then it ends really crappy.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of
No,
hoping.
I'm with you. I'm not willing
I'm
to write
planning
off.
to watch through the whole series again. I'm hoping that being what is it now, 10 years removed from it, from when was the season 6 was 2010, and it started in like 2006. I think.
That sounds right.
2006 to like 2011 maybe. I don't remember exactly, but we're 5 to 8 years, removed from that series. So I'm kind of hoping to go back now as a slightly older, not much wiser person and see if I get something different out of it now that
Right.
I know where it's going. So my
yeah, so you're not
expectations will
expecting
be
to like solve the mystery.
right. My expectations will be more on track and
You'll be focusing more on
happens.
the characters, which is
Right.
what they ended up saying, right? That
right.
it's a
Yeah, and
character
that was
piece.
their point in the end was it was always a character show.
I mean,
not a mythology show.
They say that,
Right.
But they
They're
didn't end
wrong.
they didn't end every episode with, "Hey, this character sure is cool, isn't it?"
Right.
No.
Right.
They ended it
Ended
with,
it
"You
with-
better come back if you want to know what that was all about."
Right. Hey, want a Kate episode?
Ugh.
How about Jack's tattoos?
So, anything else?
Not really. I've been playing a lot of video games
Like,
and stuff.
Good.
So, yeah.
what about you, Shanna?
I have been watching actually with you a little bit of X-Files.
That's right. I was
Ooh.
actually I was going to say I'm in a very similar boat where there's this amazing show that gets really kind of crappy at the end.
Right.
But do I really have to write off the entire series just because it eventually gets bad?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the highs are so high that I don't think the lows drag that down.
Right.
Are you watching? You said you were listening to that Camille Nanjiani
Yeah,
X-Files
X-Files files,
like
yeah.
watching through with that.
That's
we're
what
we're
I'm trying
like
to do.
maybe 4 or 5 episodes in right now.
Yeah.
So not a
Trying to
whole
listen along
ton,
with it.
but yeah, it's really good. I've also, I don't know, just watching scattered things. Like I've been watching Garfunkel and Oates on Netflix just because I saw it and I like them as musicians.
Yeah. It looks like a pretty good show.
It's all right. I already knew all the songs before watching
Right.
it. And it ain't no Flight of the Conchords. I hate to like compare it just to.
I mean, they were in Flight of the Conchords. Garfunkel was anyway.
She was?
The actual Garfunkel and Oates. Sorry, I was on
Oh,
a
yeah,
different
yeah,
track
yeah.
there.
No.
there was
I know.
there was an
The
arc
Art
in Flight of the Conchords with Art
yeah.
Garfunkel.
And
Carry
that
on.
one chick was really into. Anyway.
Yeah, he had to wear an orange wig.
That was pretty good. But yeah, I haven't been watching much. Continuing to watch Last Man on Earth, obviously. And that's about it.
I forgot I watched 2 or 3 episodes of that as well.
Okay.
Last Man on Earth.
Yeah. and you didn't say if you liked it, so I take that to mean
I don't know. He's such an annoying
it's
character.
still more of the same.
It's such an annoying. I would rather be on his side. And I'm not ever.
Tank
on his
is
side
like
on
waving his
anything.
hands at us.
Oh, I was just going, whenever you're done on yours, I just remembered another that we should talk about.
He's trying to.
No,
He's trying to be subtle, and I.
You ruined it.
Listeners, go ahead.
Tank?
Oh, I was okay, all right, fine.
Tank
I was
is
just going to say I
tanked.
watched the finale of Better Call Saul,
Oh,
which was I thought a very quiet finale for a Vince Gilligan show, but like really kind of menacing and exciting for what's coming next.
I'm so
Yeah.
jealous.
I think we're on 5 right
Yeah,
now.
we're so behind.
It's really good. You
That's
should
the-
get caught up.
That's the other show I should have mentioned when it was my turn. Yes, I have gotten up to episode 5 of Better Call Saul. So yes, I
Nice.
did actually watch TV.
Oh,
I'll say that all of
woohoo!
my gripes I had from those first couple episodes that we've talked about before are gone now.
Gone completely.
yeah.
That's good. What about you, Marcus?
So yeah, on top of X-Files, I've also been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which we just mentioned, and I guess Brooklyn Nine-Nine's been on a hiatus for a while because there hasn't been a new episode of that. We've watched a little bit more Mindy Project, obviously. And Shannon and I have watched a few episodes of Modern Family,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
which is like
It's actually surprisingly funny. One of my coworkers is like, "Here, you have to watch this," and it's like a show I like rolled my eyes about. I'm like, I've seen snippets of it, and it's okay. Really, the character, what's his name?
is it Ty Burrell?
Ty Burrell. His character makes it for me.
Yeah,
I'm not super in love with it, but it's a funny show.
it's a solid show.
Yeah.
I would say it's not Community by any stretch of the imagination,
Right.
But it's solid, and I
Yeah.
could see it. There's some running jokes that are already getting pretty good traction.
Like him tripping on those steps.
Right.
Pretty good.
It's that like, whenever that show turns on, I kind of do the same thing you did, where like I don't want to. Then it actually come out and be like, oh, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not Big Bang
It's
Theory.
solid.
Oh yeah, like it's not like Big Bang Theory. Where somebody turns it on, and I tell them you need to turn this off, or I'm going to leave the room.
I hope you
have-
say that.
Sound
I
every
have
time.
done that to
Outstanding.
my parents.
Wow.
I cannot
Sick.
That's a power play right there.
I cannot stand that show.
That would not fly.
I
in
could.
my
I
household.
I cannot stand that show.
And you know, if we were recording this podcast like a day later,
Oh,
I imagine a lot of us would be saying that we've watched Daredevil.
That's true. That does come out tomorrow, doesn't it? Or tonight.
Comes out
Today.
out right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
And
watch
we're doing this instead of watching an allegedly amazing new show.
Is it the whole series coming out at once?
It
Yep.
is Netflix.
I'm gonna stay up all night and watch that tonight.
Nice.
I'm not going to do that, but I might do it sometime.
So, anyone else, or is it time for news?
Poos?
Nope.
Oh,
Don't be gross. All right, I've got some news for you.
Winnie the Pooh.
I might also have a headline once you get through yours.
Oh yes, please bring all the news.
Is there is there a tail line?
a what?
If there's a headline, is there a tail line?
All right, that's.
I mean, that would be your
that's-
byline, maybe.
byline. Yeah.
It's a family show.
Oh my. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk right over Stitch. First news story: Last Man on Earth scores second season renewal on Fox.
Oh,
Oh, he can.
they need to fix the concept.
They need to make him a more well-rounded character.
I've not watched anything beside. There was like the first 2 episodes.
Yeah,
that
and
I
the
caught.
first 2 were good.
You've seen as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen since then, there keeps on being more and more people involved in all the like
Yeah.
screenshots I see on AV Club and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And it's just
Yeah.
turned into him like being deceptive and crappy about everything that doesn't go his way.
They move too fast. As soon as I saw like,
They don't move too fast. Nothing's happened.
oh
Yeah.
okay, so they're moving too fast for nothing happening. Like as soon as I saw that there's already another guy involved, sorry,
Well,
Yeah.
we discussed this last
We
time.
discussed
Anyway,
that.
titular
Nobody cares
inaccuracy again.
I care because I like the concept.
The Will Forte comedy will return for another 13 episodes during the 2015-2016 season, joining previously renewed comedies New Girl and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And New Girl I'm not too fond of, but
it's kind of fallen off.
oh
Yeah.
god, it's just them yelling at each other. That's all it is, and she's just become a total caricature. But anywho, next
Which is,
Flanderization.
yeah,
Flanderization, that's
which is
the
something,
one.
you know, it happens.
Yeah, it has its funny moments, but it's not. Anyway, next ABC is looking to bring back the Muppet Show.
Oh,
That could be amazing or terrible.
Yeah, well,
that's very true.
I'm just going to assume it's going to be terrible until it proves me wrong.
it's going to be written with Bill Prady, and he's a writer for The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah, so my assumptions are going to be probably right.
But you know who else is co-writing?
It doesn't matter anymore.
No, it does matter. Bob Kushel, and he was a writer for Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah.
And that was a funny show. That was a really good show. So
Yeah.
maybe it'll be good. I don't know.
I love me some Muppets.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the thing I really liked about the original stuff was the like imaginative puppetry, like Jim Henson's puppets. Like you're just like looking at them, just like trying to figure out how that even works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
craftsmanship involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I mean, Henson Studios is still a thing. So.
right. I mean, and I assume they still have creative people there. I just kind of, without Jim Henson himself involved, I don't know if you could have that kind of creativity in the actual puppet craft on a week-to-week basis.
So what's the Henson company actually doing?
They do a lot of special effects
Oh.
and like monster effects for movies and
Oh, they still like
puppetry.
And they still do, like,
they don't do like Muppet style puppetry, but they'll do like Star Wars monsters and stuff like that.
So like mainly practical effects, or are they still just doing the?
Mostly practical stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's stuff I
good
like.
Stuff. Here's another story. This one's sad. Makes me so sad. Creator David Lynch.
Oh, that was my headline. I was going to mention.
Oh,
yeah.
he's
I-
left the Twin Peaks revival. He confirmed it on Twitter.
wah,
He had
wah.
a few tweets. He
It
said,
is not happening again.
Is he a difficult person to work with?
He's an auteur to the nth degree, so I would imagine yes. But he's leaving over money
"Yeah,
and not creative differences.
But he's not leaving over
so-
money that he wanted for himself.
Yes,
He wanted
wasn't,
production
he
money.
wasn't being paid enough. I
The
don't think.
tweet
What is that?
specifically was, after 1 year and 4 months of negotiations, I left because not enough money was offered to do the script the way I
Okay.
felt it needed to be done.
Gotcha.
So he wanted to do the script justice, and they weren't giving
Right.
him the money for it. But, jeez, come on. They
But-
got to work this out.
But they're still gonna do it, huh?
The thing that bums me out the most about that, they haven't said one, like Showtime hasn't said anything about it yet. Not that I like.
Well, I think they're still working with him. Like,
yeah,
this
They
seems
haven't
like
said
a
that it's
total power
canceled.
play to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an update in a couple days. Like, we agreed to give him money because we don't want to cancel this project.
Yeah, David Lynch is smart. He probably knew, like, all these fans are getting hyped up. He's in negotiations. Take it to Twitter.
yeah.
Let's see the reaction.
The total power.
Now what, Showtime?
Total power play, like threatening to go to the basement if your parents keep watching Big Bang Theory.
That's the fourth time that phrase has been used on
That
this
should be
episode.
the title of the podcast.
Power play.
Power play.
The thing that I was kind of mostly disappointed about was that the final episode of Twin Peaks, without spoiling anything,
Don't spoil it.
There's a line.
Don't spoil it.
There's a line.
Hey, don't spoil it.
There's a line uttered
Don't
where
spoil.
someone says, "I'll see you again."
Yes.
In 25 years. That episode aired 25 years ago.
Slightly more.
Well,
By the time it comes out.
right. By the time it comes out, it will be 25 years from the time that line was uttered.
That's awesome.
Which was like thematically just really exciting, and so I hope it doesn't get delayed and ruin that excellent moment.
And David Lynch is such an interesting director, and I really like his vision in some of the movies I've seen. So,
So what other projects do you do besides I know
Dune.
I
He
never
did
watched
Dune,
that.
which is a terrible movie that I really like it because it's so David Lynch.
Is it
Yeah.
is it just crazy?
He
It's
did.
really weird.
He did.
It's
Elephant-
very well shot. It's cool looking.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
did Elephant Man. He did
Eraserhead.
He did. I went on a huge kick of watching Blue Velvet. What was the other one that I just watched?
Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, Mulholland Drive. There was one with I can't remember the name of it. Had Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern.
Bad Lieutenant.
oh yeah,
That's not right.
No,
that's I
something.
know what you're
Something
talking
about a
though.
road.
Road left, not
Road to
traveled.
Perdition.
Oh my god.
Just kidding. I know better than that.
I don't know. He's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's just like
a
one
lot
of
of, and a lot of really weird, crazy, eccentric.
He was
movies.
in Louis'
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, he was the producer for his
Yeah.
late night show.
Uh-huh.
and he was exactly how you would envision him being, kind
Right.
of off kiltered, unkiltered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our next story. Let me see here. So, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a spinoff in early development. Why is that funny?
Let's like
Oh my
I'm
god,
sorry.
the comic books. They're going crazy.
No, I'm sorry.
let's consistently make a good show before we make a spin-off.
I think it's just
Yeah.
it's funny to me because to me
Speaking of which, we
I
have a
thought
new
you were
announcement to
talking
make about the
about
podcast.
spinoff.
Hey, let's
Just
talk
kidding.
about this one first.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
hear. I want to hear about the spinoff. I didn't read the story.
yeah, I didn't,
So
I didn't
it's
hear
not.
about it.
There's no solid details, but they said the upcoming storylines in the current series, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., will be utilized to set up the spinoff. And by the time the end of the season comes around, it'll be very clear what the spinoff is going to be. So it's total mystery at this
Interesting.
point.
It's
But I think it speaks to your point, Mark, that they're waiting for that movie to do something huge.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
It's-
and Inhumans isn't coming out till what 2018.
right.
So I mean, they've got a long time to set that up.
That's one of the fan theories I heard is that it might be Inhumans related.
that makes sense.
it's like to me this is just funny because I feel like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a stretch from the Marvel movies, and that it was a spin-off. It's gonna it's a varying quality depending on the episode,
Sure.
all that stuff. And now it's just like they're getting even further with
Right, but they've
another
also
spin-off.
got Daredevil coming out and 2 other shows coming to
Right.
Netflix that are also Marvel Cinematic Universe related.
Which are leading
So-
up to a movie of their own. All those Netflix series.
Right.
So
But
I mean, they've got a
So
lot.
this isn't.
I feel like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just isn't the quality, or
Yeah.
it itself deserves a spin-off.
It should probably be like
I mean, I get it,
12 episodes a season.
I don't know if it might be weird to call it a spin-off if like maybe they're just doing another show and they're just launching out of
Within
this
the
to give it
Marvel
some
universe,
momentum.
yeah. It's probably not a spinoff in the traditional
Yeah.
sense, like where it's one character. And you
Arrow
follow
just
their-
announced another spin-off for the Arrowverse. So like
Oh,
the
nice.
the Arrow and Flash, and I can't remember the name of it, but they're doing another
the
thing there.
DC television universe.
Right.
Aren't you guys exhausted by this?
Yes,
I don't
yes, very.
DC's
Okay, you like you're a comic book guy.
I like Arrow. I like Flash is a really good show. This third season of Arrow has been really solid. Constantine's a really good show. They haven't brought that in at all, and I don't think they will since it's on a different network.
I'll say,
But they're bringing in a couple other like mainline heroes, and I know I saw Stephen Amell when he was in Kansas City for Comic-Con, and he left some plot or some like
Easter eggs.
Little
little
hints.
hints or inferences about like Batman and other like major characters making appearances.
Interesting.
Oh, how about your Gotham? How's that going?
It's been on hiatus for a while.
Oh.
It-
Uh-oh.
Last episode I saw was it's consistent.
Consistently bad.
It's consistently middling and could be much
Yeah.
better than
Sounds
it
like
is.
Arrow.
They just need to get Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle out of that series forever,
Right.
and it'll be better. But
yeah.
Are you saying something?
No, I was just gonna say it's kind of exhausting watching week to week. But when you just wait for an entire season to drop on Netflix, it's
Right.
a lot easier to
Right.
deal with.
especially when it's like 12 episodes.
There's
You're
so
Yeah.
many shows.
I can kind of
Sure.
do that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when I was watching it because I was enjoying it because of that, because I can see it over episodes of the bad episodes. I'm like, oh well, that was bad, but this next one should be decent.
Right.
But with Arrow, it's just so to me like it's been so middling throughout this entire first season while I've been trying to watch it, and I do not like Oliver Queen. Whenever he gets hurt, I'm like, yeah.
Well, there's no reason to watch if you don't like Oliver Queen. You kind of have to like him
I'm
in order
hoping
to
he
enjoy
do-
the show.
I'm hoping he does something that like redeems him and doesn't make him seem like a ponce every time I see him on screen.
All right, I'm going to move on to the next news story.
No, we need to talk about
Come
Arrow
on.
more.
Okay, so another channel. Woo!
Yay.
Lionsgate is launching a Comic-Con channel.
What?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Apparently, it's a subscription video on-demand service that will launch later this year. It'll include original short-form content, films, and TV series from Lionsgate and other studios, along with archived footage from Comic-Con's 45-year history.
What they'll do is they'll just take a comic and then like slowly scroll it across the screen the whole time.
So this is just
Tell
going to
you-
be what, like,
It's
archival footage
Yeah.
of walking around the floor at Comic-Con? Or is it going to be, like, panels? It'd be interesting if they had, like, all the panel discussions that have
cool.
gone on at Comic-Con, because there's never any good video of those.
Right.
But would you pay?
That
for
would
that?
actually change how Comic-Con works, though, because a lot of
Right.
that is like
Yeah, because you have to be there to see that stuff.
they show trailers for movies way before anyone else sees it.
I mean, although
Yeah.
I guess if these are 45 years or however long past, if
Yeah.
these are old, shows.
I think they would be willing to drop those exclusives on subscribers to the channel. You know what I mean? Like, I think that might be the way that they're headed.
I mean, they might, but Comic-Con doesn't
itself?
own like Marvel, and Marvel's the one making the decision.
Oh, that's true.
It'd be a
to
licensing
reveal it.
nightmare.
Yeah, you're right. Last story. This is one I just heard about thanks to Marcus. Arrested Development Season 5 is official. 17 new
BGR.com broke the news, but it's actually from the creator doing like a podcast where he said there's been a 17 episode order. I mean, it's pretty from the mouth of the creator.
Right, it's pretty official.
But Netflix hasn't said it.
Right.
It's not official, but it's
basically official.
Yeah. I wonder how they're going to do it. If they're going to...
It's not going to be Rashomon again, is it?
Nah, they did do Rashomon, but they did like that weird like concurrent timelines thing.
Right.
I want them to just do a regular TV series
Yeah,
again.
me too. I love that on
Someone did like a
so
fan
much.
edit of season 4, like edited together to be just like concurrent episodes, like a regular season, and it was much better.
I think that was a feature on the DVD release.
Really?
But yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's a really solid show.
Yeah.
Always has been.
And
funny actors, funny writing.
there's
And
a lot of hanging stuff left from season 4 too. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
And that's,
that's
the
exciting.
news.
Well, as we're approaching the end of the 2014-2015 season, I think it's time for us to do the television obituaries.
Oh, no.
So let's all take a moment to remember the shows that we lost this year.
I have doffed my cap.
The obituary.
Canceled before they aired. ABC's Members Only. Fox's Hieroglyph. NBC's Mission Control. Canceled after only one season. MTV's Happy Land. IFC's Garfunkel and Oates. USA's Benched. Fox's Mulaney. Fox's Utopia. USA's Rush. Sci-Fi's Ascension. NBC's Bad Judge. NBC's Allegiance. NBC's A to Z. NBC's Crossbones. NBC's Taxi Brooklyn. Fox's Red Band Society. Fox's Grace Point. ABC's Selfie. ABC's Manhattan Love Story. Lifetime's The Lottery. CBS's Reckless. Also canceled. AMC's Game of Arms. BBC America's Atlantis. FX's Anger Management. FX's The Bridge. CBS's The Millers. IFC's The Birthday Boys. Comedy Central's Brickleberry. USA's Covert Affairs. TNT's Franklin and Bash. TBS's Ground Floor. And HBO's Looking. But cancellation is part of the cycle of life, and with it, new shows are given a chance to shine. Here are some of the series picked up for next season. Happy Life. Steve Weber plays a family man who discovers those around him are happier than he is.
Oh.
Seriously, that's the plot.
That's just my life.
I was going to say,
That sounds like
that's not a
Stitch.
TV show. That's a YouTube vlog.
A new Criminal Minds spinoff.
Oh my god! That's awesome.
An American remake of Luther.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
And of course, NBC has been graced with an excess of time slots to fill with shows like How We Live, a sitcom about an anthropologist viewing suburban life through his profession's lens. Problem Child, a show based on the wildly successful 90s movie. Take It From Us, a show about parents explaining the hard lessons they learned to their youth. Hopefully in the form of extended flashbacks while kids patiently sit on a couch.
So parents acting.
How I Met You.
Parents acting like how parents should actually act like. You should just call it Parents.
So anyway,
Terrible.
What do you guys think of the shows that were canceled this season?
TV's
Man.
doomed.
Well, I don't think I've heard. I think I only heard of like one of those shows.
Oh, you haven't heard of the amazing NBC programming like Bad Judge and A to Z?
Oh, A to Z, that was a painful show. Well, the concept of it, I just instantly turned me off. I didn't like it at all. And also Selfie, I watched the first episode of that, and that was horrible.
Yeah.
Just the name.
Well,
is
how
awful.
about
So how do you spell that?
one show that wasn't on this list, thankfully, was Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, because NBC sold that to Netflix, and then Netflix made it happen. But that raises the weird question of NBC thought that A to Z and Bad Judge were the better bets out of the 3 series.
Well,
They were the cheaper
yeah,
bets.
and they got rid of Community. They got rid of
Right, they don't have a
Yeah.
lead in.
and then other networks are just snapping them up and doing really well with them.
Yep.
I wonder if that suggests there might be a problem with NBC.
Nah. Let's just cancel everything and try and make a bunch of new comedies work without any lead in or tent pole at all.
Okay.
That should work.
Yeah.
That's a good strategy. I am
So-
a little sad about the IFC cancellations.
Yeah. Birthday Boys.
I know it's very mixed reviews. Like, a lot of people do not like that show.
Birthday Boys
But
got
I enjoy it.
progressively better with each episode, which usually does not happen for a sketch comedy show. It's usually the opposite. They run
Right.
out of ideas and it gets bad.
Yeah.
But-
Portlandia.
That's a really bad example because it's
Portlandia is still
as
good.
successful as ever.
Yeah. But the Birthday Boys are still on TV in one capacity because they're still writing for Comedy Bang Bang.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I
So-
also watched a little bit of Garfunkel and Oates. They might have gotten another season. It's hard. And I think Flight of the Conchords kind of had this too, where they started running out of good songs. And the second season,
Second season soundtrack isn't nearly as
not
fun.
nearly as funny. So that probably would have happened with Garfunkel and Oates too.
I'm really excited about the Luther remake
Oh my god!
because Grace Point taught us that we definitely need like verbatim remakes of British shows, even though we can all understand British English.
Yeah.
Or what
And
about
they have good production value
Oh, that
already.
that Broadchurch.
Yeah.
Is that what Grace Point is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
what about God, what was the other
Was
thing?
that a bad adaptation? I never watched the American one at all.
It's like verbatim.
Really?
It's the same. Yeah. The only difference is instead of that one chick, it's Skylar.
And I think the method of murder is different in the end, but basically everything else is exactly the same.
Yeah.
I just don't get that trend at all as a design. Like, I mean, it worked for a couple shows, like Shameless.
It worked for Shameless.
The
It worked
American
for The
version of Shameless is
Office.
good, but like when they just try to do the exact same story, like,
Yeah,
the
The
British
Office
one
got
exists. Just
at first.
broadcast that one over here.
Yeah.
Nope.
I think the big
They'd rather make it again.
I mean,
guess
they
they think
broadcast
maybe
American
Americans
shows
are
everywhere.
just like, are we just afraid of other accents and
accent.
funny people
Yeah.
that sound different?
I wonder if part of it is since America does export so many shows, they
Yeah.
don't want people they want to bring these shows over because they can lazily remake these shows, not to really have any writing. And then, but at the same time, if they bring the British one over, well, it's probably cheaper to import that, and then all of a sudden, like all these maybe actors and actresses and directors and all that, well, then they don't need them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I mean, maybe it's just the industry protecting itself. Just a thought.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Or maybe American viewers are really shallow and it works.
right. I mean, and that's probably what it is we're just afraid of people with different voices.
Oh,
Yep.
and that Criminal Minds spinoff. Another one?
Yeah,
Oh.
dude.
I'm
We
so
needed
shocked.
it. We needed it. We had to cancel shows like Community to make more room for amazing,
I need some more, what is it, murder porn? Is that what
Yeah.
they call
Yeah.
informative murder porn.
it? Yeah.
That show just stopped for me when Mandy Patinkin left because he was the
Oh,
only
really?
reason I watched it in the first place. 'Cause
See, I haven't
Mandy
watched
Patinkin.
it. I just
pretty
get like genre fatigue in my head. Like
I-
when I see it, I'm just instantly turned off because I'm like, oh, I've seen this show a million times.
I can't watch any cop shows like crime procedurals.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Because you just all of the bad police work and the
Mm-hmm.
terrible computer person who can like,
Yeah.
oh, I can hack that. I'm in.
Oh, did you see that one scene? I forget NCIS. I
Yeah,
think,
the
where there are
NCIS, like,
two people on the
Two
keyboard.
idiots at a keyboard.
I'll just watch The Wire
dumbest thing.
again if I
Right.
need
Right.
something like that.
Yeah, like The Wire. That kind of show where it's like hard. cop drama
Yeah.
that's watchable. But yeah, like the CSI or NCIS or Criminal Minds, just fluffy garbage.
I've heard from FBI agents, because they used to come to our school and talk to us. They hate those shows because because people just get this expectation in their mind that, oh well, CSI, you could have just gone in there and zoomed in on his picture and found out who he was. And
Sounds
then,
like you should watch Buffy,
yeah.
because Buffy plays with that trope.
The word
Yeah.
enhance will just make me turn off a show.
Yeah.
Go ahead and enhance that.
So that's it for TV obituaries. I'm sure in a month's time, a ton more shows will be canceled, but I'm too depressed to deal with that. So
Sad.
that's all until next year, if we are still doing the show next year.
Yeah.
But what if it's a cooking show and they're like, we're going to enhance that flavor?
Oh yeah, I should say I didn't read any like reality shows or anything else. It was all
Right.
scripted. So
Because
even more shows been canceled if you look at
Yeah.
those.
Probably because
Yeah.
those shows don't ever really get canceled. They kind of go away for a few years, and then you find out, oh, that's still on?
They're so cheap to make, and there's so many people.
King of the
that-
Nerds coming
Survivor.
back?
Survivor. Every time, like,
I don't know.
like every time on the TV, like, there's a new Survivor. I'm like, really?
For Showcase, we are watching the 2014 FX series Fargo. Every episode of The Fool's Lantern will cover 2 episodes, spoilers and all. So let's get started. This week we watched the final 2 episodes of the series. Let's start by discussing episode 9, A Fox, a Rabbit, and a Cabbage. Who can tell me what happened in this episode?
Stitch. No.
Stitch, what happened in this episode?
Keenan Peele died.
No, that's not even
Inaccurate.
true.
Oh, no, it's
Dude, you failed.
spoilers. Yeah, I did fail. I did watch it, though.
What happened in this episode is that it's a fox, a chicken, and a thing of grain. Rabbit
Yeah,
and
that's
cabbage.
it's totally different than what you normally hear.
Rabbit and cabbage. That ruins the whole metaphor.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. So episode 10.
Nope.
Shall I? Is that-
What happens in episode 9, Shanna?
Okay, so we
Man, I got notes.
start.
Someone's
Mr.
volunteering.
Notes. Yeah, do it up.
Yes, we start off. We find out, as we saw last episode, Lauren Malvo hanging out in Las Vegas. We find out what he's been up to recently.
Dentistry.
He's a Kansas City, Missouri dentist.
Yes.
Shout out Kansas
Here in our
City.
hometown. That's why I'm afraid of dentists, because they're all mass murderers.
So
Well,
you have the theory of he was a dentist first and then he became an assassin?
No, I don't.
Because I do. Because I think dentists are sadistic.
Well,
And
they do
horrible.
have that really creepy, calm voice.
And plus, there's no way he could learn it in whatever 6 months.
That's true. I mean,
So,
he's
yeah.
he's a pretty clever guy. I guess he could figure out how to do a couple basic procedures.
Yeah.
He's got the pattern down. I don't know, maybe. I guess-
I'd say it's an inaccurate scene because he would just have his dental assistant do everything and he'd show
Right.
up for 1 minute at the very end.
90% of dentistry is confidence.
But yeah, so he's got cute nicknames for people like Birdie Bert. He says aces all the time. He's got a charming young trophy wife that he's engaged to. Or I guess trophy fiance. He's living it up. Finds out finally they're heading out to Las Vegas with Birdie Bert. They're going to visit Birdie Bert's friend who's in witness protection and still talking to his old buddy Bert, telling him where he lives and how to get there.
I thought they were brothers.
Yeah, I think
You don't get to talk to your
brothers.
brother when you're in witness
Yeah.
protection.
For the guy's breaking rules at any rate.
And the fact that he
So-
would even say, "Hey, my brother's in witness protection. Come on
Right.
along."
Right.
Like,
So, anywho, they go to Las Vegas to go visit this guy's brother in witness protection. So Lester comes up to Lauren, sees him at the table, and they start chatting. And Lester's like, "Hey, it's you." And Lauren's like, "Oh, I don't know you, buddy."
dude, like
You
they
know.
were friends in college or something.
Yeah, it was
Right.
pretty bizarre.
So then they end up in the elevator. Lester's like, this is new Lester. I'm all assertive. I'm a
Yeah.
tough guy.
I've changed,
I got away with murder, and I know how to get what I want.
and I got this award.
And then Lauren has this great line of, "Is this really what you want, Lester?" Lester says, "Yep." And then Lauren murders everyone in the elevator.
Wow.
Kills his wife, kills his friend, kills his friend's wife. Finds out this has been undercover the whole time to murder the guy's brother in witness protection. He's got a contract for that guy. So Lester hits Lauren in the head with his fancy Salesman of the Year trophy, runs away, grabs
Which
his wife.
barely phases
Right.
Lorne.
I mean, Lester's not much to talk about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
meh.
It probably, even for the normal person, you'd throw it at them and it'd hurt really bad, but it probably wouldn't knock you out.
I mean, he killed his wife.
That was
Yeah.
a
With a-
sledgehammer, though.
No, it wasn't. It was a wrench.
It's a
No,
hammer.
it
And
was
this
a
is a-
hammer.
It's a
I
hammer.
thought it was a. Oh, was it a hammer?
It was
Yeah.
a hammer.
It was a hammer.
You hammered,
Whatever.
bro.
It was a wrench.
But
But
Mr. Wrench.
If somebody
In the
sends a screen cap that shows that it's a hammer, I believe you. But I want someone the tiny listening base to email us.
Please just talk to us. We're so lonely.
please just listen to us. We need someone to talk to. But my favorite, one of my favorite parts is just after he gets they get up from the, was it a table? It was
Yeah,
from the table. He just turns around, says, "Walk away." And there's something
Yeah.
about that
They're
just
menacing.
yeah, just those two words just kind of sent chills up my spine. I'm just like that.
Right.
To kind of use this analogy, it's kind of like a wolf growl in a way. You're like a wolf growling at another wolf.
And then his just Lauren's shock when Lester, he gave him a very clear warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lester's like, nope. I'm going to walk right back into this mess.
Mr. Confidence.
Yeah, it proved to me that Lester is an idiot.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
dumbass.
So Lester goes and rounds up his wife. He's really bad at acting casual. Mm-hmm. And it kind of struck me, too. It's he's been living high because he got away with murder. He's got off scot-free, la-da-da. But then you find out, wait a minute, all of a sudden he's back in the crap. He's running for his life again. And it's right back to old Lester, who's scared and running and making his problems
Worse.
compoundingly worse.
Yeah.
Making himself a more hateable person.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we come back to Bemidji. My notes get really light here because
That's
this was a
fine.
really good episode, and I was just kind of watching the episode more than I
Yeah.
was writing anything
Got
down.
enthralled.
So it kind of goes the local police hear that there's a report of this murder that happened in an elevator
Right.
in Las Vegas.
Molly hears that Lester's possibly a witness,
So
and
she goes
she's
to find
gonna go
Lester.
interview him.
Mm-hmm.
Which, most people are lucky, or I guess unlucky, to witness one murder in their lifetime. Lester's got a really good average. So I'm sure that's Molly, kind of some of the way she talks to him a little bit, you can tell that she's kind of moved on a little bit from her quest. Like we talked about last time, she's kind of beaten down on it a little bit. But then once she hears this about Lester being involved with possibly a triple murder, that, fires everything right back up again, and she's right back on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it almost sounds to me like she's still kind of, since now she's pregnant. I don't know if we covered. Oh yeah, we did cover that last time.
Yeah, she's pregnant.
Yeah, she's pregnant and she's has this family. She's happy. It almost sounds like she's just doing it as a. She doesn't sound like she's fired up to go and interview him.
Well, she's still fired up because she's been calling the FBI nonstop.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Right. But it seems like it's gotten a little perfunctory, in a way, because it's gone cold. She's just calling, she calls and gets turned away from the FBI and nothing ever happens.
And she's happy now because, well, for the most part, because she's got
her family. She's got that going on for her.
And she's pregnant and everyone's telling her, just sit down. You take it easy.
Right.
And we'll take care of all this, but she doesn't let that stop her.
Yeah. So then
Mm-hmm.
Lester and his wife are sitting there answering questions, and his wife starts covering for him, which is a little odd.
Yeah.
She realizes something's going on,
Yeah.
and she covers for him with the.
Yeah.
But she knows who he
Molly.
is because she was there when he stapled those kids. And she liked it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and she says that really weird line earlier when they're in the car. She's like, I had a crush on you ever since you started at the job, and I'd always kind of wished that something would happen to your wife to get her out of the picture.
Yeah. She loves Lester.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
It makes you after that, it makes you wonder if she could tell that he was acting weird before, but she just was going to let it go because
I think she
She
was
liked it.
willing to let a lot of stuff go
yeah.
with him.
maybe she likes the dominant or the mysterious man, and then it leads her.
She just liked
She
it when he
just-
stapled those kids.
Right.
Is that how you can get a date? Just got to staple a bunch of
Yep.
kids?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I've been doing it wrong.
So there was that fantastic shot that Lester had, or not Lester, that Lauren had as Lester was running away in the hotel, where he's backlit in the elevator, and he's like, "See you later."
Yeah.
And
that was really good.
Is that like cat and
See-
mouse? Because I mean, we've established at this point Lorne Malvo is like a
Right.
superhero.
Well, and then you
So
find
he
what
probably could have killed him at
Lorne-
that
Super
point.
villain.
Super whatever. Yeah.
Lorne's angry at Lester now. He'd moved on from Lester. Lester was a
Yeah.
fun diversion. He's moved on, but now Lester's cost him a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So you
And so
sued
he's
Lester.
coming back. He's gonna.
So
coming
he's
to
letting
pay the
him run
piper.
away though.
Yeah.
Like he's just okay. I'm gonna come find you.
Right. So he tracks Lester back down.
Well, he's got to hide the bodies and
Right.
Oh
all
yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah,
true.
he tracks Lester back down to Bemidji, and things start going bad. Lester goes to Lou's coffee shop and has that scene where they're talking in the
Yeah.
coffee shop with
and Lou can like
Molly's
see right
dad.
through him.
But just like there's that music building up, that
Mm-hmm.
like kind of discordant tone in the background, and they're not directly saying anything. They're
Mm-hmm.
beating around every bush on the planet, but it's just like so much menace dripping from both of them. Like Lou sees right through him.
Yeah.
Lorne sees right away that you're a cop.
Yeah.
He's got that thing about no one ever hangs up the sad pictures of like the kid with the black eye, or their
Yeah.
mom crying and dad's drunk. Which kind of, I guess,
Yeah,
gives
very
some hints about Lorne's background, I guess.
Yeah.
I actually rewatched that scene after the second time I saw it. I'm rewatching it because just the way that all acts out. I always like seeing like the old experienced guy who like he's seen it all to the point where it's like he can see right through it, where like he doesn't trust him.
Right.
Like the whole time
He's got those cop instincts.
you're ready for him to actually give Lester's number to Lorne Malvo, but then just when he's like just blocking him, just
Yeah.
taking it down, it's, like the whole time, finally a character that
Can stand up to Lorne.
can stand up to him, see through him, and then also just looks like a brick wall. Like he is actually, out of all this, he might be my favorite.
The whole thing
character.
too, though, is intercut with those scenes of Molly driving to the coffee shop, because the Key and Peele found out that she's been calling. Like they finally figured that out, and they're heading to Bemidji because they're
They're
trying
so
to.
excited.
Yeah, because they're going to clear their names.
Yeah.
They're gonna get back on the horse.
Yeah.
And Molly's
like,
excited too.
Molly pulls up and walks in the back door of the coffee shop the second Lorne walks out the front, and there's just that like explosive tension of like, are they about to bump into each other?
of course they aren't.
Right. But and I thought it was hilarious that Key and Peele walked 2 feet away from Lorne Malvo yet again.
And I think
Yeah.
this is
They
a
parked
key scene.
right next to him in the parking lot.
This is a really key scene, and I'm kind of jumping ahead because I'm going to say what happens
Spoilers.
in the finale.
Right, because
But
they die. In
This
the next
scene,
episode.
no, that's not what I'm.
I
That's
already
not,
spoiled that.
that's not what I'm getting at. I'm saying this is to me, Noah Hawley saying, I intentionally made sure these characters never met each other in the entire series. They didn't put that scene together just to have it like be a one-off shock.
Molly and Lorne, you mean?
Right. It was no, these characters were never meant to meet each other,
Right.
which they don't,
Yeah.
as we find out soon. Okay,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah, so they kind of explain to Molly, what their stake in it is, why they are suddenly caring, and Molly just that relief on her face as she realizes somebody's
listening.
somebody's taking her seriously.
And she's been
Yeah.
so like sidelined. I felt
Right.
very excited for her.
Yeah, so she
And then-
takes them to the police station. She's showing them the map, her board with all the lines and the connections. Like, yeah,
This is
this
great
is super
police work.
obvious. Like,
Duh. And then
Yeah,
Bill
absolutely.
Oswalt comes in and is like, huh?
oh, this again? Oh no, God, come on.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, so they kind of are like, you know what? No, we want to follow this down. Let's get Lester. We want to talk to him. So Lester now is kind of sensing that things are closing in. He's buying tickets to go to Acapulco. They're going to flee the country. They're going to
Yeah.
get out of Dodge. I think we've kind of skipped over a lot of stuff here.
That's
with some,
fine.
Yeah,
I
there's
Yeah.
a lot of little character moments in here,
Right.
Kind of
But
like
the
with,
big things.
Yeah. Or there was one that I wanted to touch on briefly too before I moved on to that. Lou, when they're at home together, Molly and Gus and Lou and the daughter who's
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he talks about
He
his.
says to her, "You're that granddaughter." I couldn't tell exactly what he said, but it sounded like he said, "You're the granddaughter I always wanted, but was afraid to buy online."
Sounds pretty good.
But
But yeah, isn't
They've got that warm little family unit going on.
doesn't he talk about what happened in the 70s a little bit?
Yeah,
he touches
there.
on it briefly when he's
Now-
talking to Lauren. Something about Sioux Falls, and there
Sioux
was
Falls,
bodies.
yeah.
Was
if
it
you-
1979 or?
Yeah, 1979. He said something about bodies, if you stacked them up, would reach to the second story.
Yeah. Is that where the second
Yeah, that's where season 2 is going to take place.
Now, do you
That's
think
been revealed.
that Lorne Malvo had anything to do with
No,
that?
no.
Oh, I hope not.
He would have been.
They're about the same age,
I don't know.
right?
No, he's a little bit
He's in
younger.
his 50s.
Oh,
isn't he?
yeah,
He would have
that's
been
true.
like a teenager, maybe. I don't know. I'm doing math. Don't.
If he's in his
Don't
50s,
question us.
he would be in his 20s in
Yeah.
the 80s. 1980.
I really hope not, because I'd like to see like
Yeah, you're right, because it takes place in 2007.
I mean, I could see if he even has just like a bit part as, he was
Yeah.
just some
Yeah.
like little thug cutting his teeth back then.
I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
it'll just be there'll be a scene where it's like, oh,
I was actually wondering if that was what the second season, because I'm like, this sounds really exciting, and they bring it up a few times.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Like, it sounds like something you would want to see more of. But also, there's 2 A's in Nygaard.
Yeah, what's that?
That
about?
was this is the first episode I noticed that in. Anywho, so Lester is going to flee the country with his wife. He gets the tickets, and they're going to go to the insurance agency to print out.
I'm stealing that
Or
fez.
not to print out, but to get his passport.
And his wife is so sweet in the car.
Yeah,
and
she's
you're
like,
like,
and she's
my
just so excited to go.
She knows who he is.
I don't think she does.
I'm not saying she.
She knows that she's about to be
think-
set up to be killed.
I think she might suspect that he's involved in something because he's acting strange. There were 3 murders at the hotel, but
But
all of
she
a sudden he
just
wanted to
doesn't
run
wanna
away.
see it.
She heard Molly mention that he might have witnessed some murders, and she knew he was acting weird, so she
Right.
knows.
Right.
Something's going
She knows
on.
something's going on. But they go by the insurance agency. He's going to get their passports and their cash out of the safe. But he sees there's a lamp on,
And he knows what
Inside,
that
which-
means.
which is sloppy
Yeah.
on someone's part, but I digress. So he parks and he says, "Oh, you know what? I pulled my back." And at this point, we're just that whole conversation about
It's
what a
so
pile
good.
of garbage Lester is.
So good.
Yeah, he's
And
a
it's
piece
like
of shit.
kind of like we talked about last time with like compared with Walter White and like bad guys that you can root for a little while. I think I've put my finger on why Lester doesn't get that same empathy, because like Walter had for that long time, he was doing it for a reason. He was being a bad guy for his family. He was trying to provide for people that he cared for. In the end, that was always most important. Lester just is doing this for himself.
I think for
Everything Lester's after is to just feel like a tough guy, feel like he's in charge, feel like, he's the most important guy in the room. So he gives his wife his coat because he sees Lauren Malvo is in there. Gives his wife his coat, says, "Oh, by the way, the wind's blowing. I don't want your face to freeze. Make sure you pull the hood up tight."
Wow.
Sends her in knowing she's going to be murdered.
Is
Oh,
he
yeah.
a sociopath?
Of course he
Yeah,
is.
Is he a
he's-
sociopath?
He's a high-functioning sociopath of the worst degree.
Because he started out as this like mousy dude, and now he's
I
set.
think he got a taste of being in charge, and
Yeah,
he's willing to sacrifice anybody to feel like he's still got it.
he's a guy who didn't have confidence and doesn't know how to control it, and also he's kind of all in it for himself. I think for probably the first 2 episodes, I sympathized with him because I'm like, oh well, he did something really stupid. He killed his wife, but at the same time, like it could have just been like one of those split-second things, and then like it could have just been an accident. And, But then when he starts doing like this is to the point, then it kind of gets like middling, where it's like it's hard to justify. And then at this point, you're like, somebody needs to kill him.
Yeah.
So like something needs to happen to him because I want him to die. Like I want Lauren Malvo to kill him because Lauren Malvo is a better person than Lester is at this point.
Yeah.
Did Lauren Malvo realize he didn't shoot Lester? He
He
thought
did. He did before he left the building. So she goes in. She opens goes to open the safe. Lauren comes up, and that shot is really nicely framed too. All outside the building, so you just see these silhouettes and the gunshot.
Yeah.
And then he leans down, he checks the face, and he sees it's not Lester.
Okay.
And he leaves.
He leaves. He's just like, "Hey, I killed your wife.
Right.
Goodbye."
So Lester then goes in.
With the
And he
stupidest
tries-
alibi, like
Yeah, that's like my first line I wrote is that's a terrible alibi. But so he
Yeah.
goes first to get the money and the passports. He's just going to go on his own. But then he decides, this other plan. He puts the keys in her hand, and goes down the street to Lou's coffee shop. Sits down's like, "Hello, Lou. I'm here. My wife is going to the shop to get some papers.
Let me say it again for you.
I'm going to go use the payphone right outside this location I've just announced my presence at to report my wife's murder."
Yeah, he says, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then he sneaks out.
Right.
But he still uses that payphone
Right.
from the diner.
Yeah.
And they can track
They can track those payphones with the look like, oh, yeah, Lester just went. It's a terrible alibi.
And then he comes back
Terrible.
in, and then he accidentally repeats the exact same thing,
Right.
too.
Oh, you just told me that, Lester.
And Lou's not having it.
Yep.
But I think Lou did. I don't think he was suspicious. I think he was just like, he's one of those guys who's like,
I think
because he was like, "Hey, do you want me to, keep hers warm for me?"
Also, don't forget that you just had Lauren Malvo come in and ask for Lester, and that was kind of like a weird thing that Lester's acting even weirder than he normally is.
This weird, creepy guy was asking for you, and now you're here.
right,
And now there's police driving by outside.
right. So then Lester goes back, and does the whole bereaved husband thing, screaming, "Oh no, no, my wife!" And then realizes the reason he's come back because he realized he left the plane tickets to Acapulco in his coat pocket.
Yeah.
So he tries to get him back, but Molly got her eye on him.
Yeah.
Nope,
If it had
Lester,
been-
don't touch.
He almost gets away with it.
Right,
Bob's
which-
fine with it.
because
Yeah.
you almost expect it to because so many times throughout the series, like we said last time, like cosmically, everything plays off for Lester. Like he gets so many lucky chances to do something to get away with murder. Like getting out of the hospital and planting all that evidence. But this time it's just like, nope, police work.
I think also is because Molly's actually there with him, and Molly's gotten a lot more power over, like control over situations. So where she's like, no, this is an active crime scene, and then Bob.
She's
Odenkirk
also
is
got his number, and she's keeping her eye on him.
Yeah, and now Bob Odenkirk isn't really doing anything to stop her from doing that.
Right. Yeah. So Lester is not able to reclaim the tickets. So the FBI guy's like, "Oh, he was planning on running away. That's something to know." And
Yep.
so they bring Lester in, and they call for backup. And they have this discussion with Lester, trying to, like, here's all these pictures of Lauren. We think he was trying to kill you. What can you tell us about him? And he won't tell him anything. And then Molly has this story about the man who drops his glove on the train platform. And then when he realizes he's on the train's starting to move, realizes he only has one glove. So he opens the window and throws the other glove out the window. So if anyone finds it, at least they can have the whole pair instead of just one glove.
See, I took that
which
analogy.
felt like she was. Well, yeah, go ahead.
I took that analogy as he already had one wife killed. Why not have the pair?
That's not.
The way what I was thinking she was saying is you've accidentally dropped. You've put this Lauren Malvo mess in our laps.
Right.
You've accidentally done that.
You're
And
not-
you're
Give us the
holding
other
the pieces
piece.
to the other part
Yeah.
of it. You
Yeah.
have the rest. You can just give it to us.
You're
You're
getting
not
that-
getting away with this. Just
Right.
give us this information,
Right.
and maybe you
Yeah.
won't die.
Right. Yeah, and
But,
it was
yeah.
Which that would have
really
been a shame.
that just a great moment for Molly, just openly just pleading for him to please let us help
Come on.
you.
Right.
Because she knows.
And then he still
what's
doesn't
gonna
do it.
happen.
And
Right.
she says he won't stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then he demands. Don't forget he demands a lawyer. Which at that point, you might as well just say, "Well, I'm guilty. I'm just not going to tell you."
Well,
You have your right to have a lawyer, as we've learned from Breaking Bad.
Like, sure.
You should
As a
always have a lawyer
As a
present.
responsible citizen, you should never feel like asking for a lawyer is an admission of guilt.
Yeah.
no, yeah, definitely.
I'm
not.
not a lawyer,
Unless you're Stitch.
No, no. It's
Don't let cops imply that to you.
I think
Yeah.
it's like up to this point he did not ask for a lawyer, but then all of a sudden out of nowhere, when they have his number, when they actually have all the information, now he's demanding a lawyer.
It's
Yeah,
not. He's not just dealing with Bill on this one. He's
Right.
not
He's-
talking
yeah.
about great bubble gum at the table.
He's dealing with hard hitters now, so
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
going for it. But also, he never gets his lawyer, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But so the
hold on. What if his lawyer was Saul
was
Goodman?
Saul. I thought
And
that.
then-
I thought that'd be
crossover.
great if you had just Saul Goodman came in and had this great scene with
It should
Bill.
just be one wide shot where they don't even cut in between.
Right.
He's just doing both characters, jumping back and forth, getting out of breath because he's really acting. It's a tour de force.
right.
yeah,
That would be amazing.
I'd pay to see that.
I would also yes.
he's having an argument with himself about why his client is not guilty.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so Key and Peele drive Lester home, and they're like, hey, we still think bad stuff. We're gonna camp out, make sure
We're
bad
calling
stuff.
for backup.
Right.
Which,
So
Yeah.
Yeah, which you find out Lorne, while they were interviewing Lester, Lorne broke into Key and Peele's car, took their little black book with their phone numbers and their code phrases, calls in, cancels their backup. I like the tone of voice on the operator, just like, ugh, you guys.
You guys need to get it together.
Right.
Yeah.
Guys, they're not going to stop fucking up.
Yeah.
Just like no patience for these two anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like they must have cashed in every like favor and ounce of goodwill they had to even get out here in the first place.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Lorne canceled their backup and he goes car dealership, and I like this because it looks like an undercover car.
Yeah.
And he buys, or he doesn't buy it, but he gets that
that guy to...
that black Ford.
Is this still episode 9 or are we on 10 now?
We've moved on.
I think we've kind of
through.
seamlessly integrated
Oh,
because they
that's
just
fine.
Perfect. Just making sure because I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
Right.
we're on episode 10.
It's got an
Because
antenna.
9 ended with his wife being shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
nine,
was
so yeah, what's
10's
the-
a little bit longer too.
Right.
I think it's a full
It was a long
hour.
episode. What was the title of episode 10?
10 is Morton's Fork.
Okay.
Real quick, number
Let's-
9,
oh, yeah,
a
talk
fox, a
about
rabbit,
that.
and a cabbage, is like this puzzle where you
Right.
can only take one thing over at a time. How do you prevent the fox from eating the rabbit or the rabbit from eating the cabbage?
Right, which sounds like a logistical problem immediately,
Right.
but then like once you're like, oh, you just gotta go back and forth, and Lester
And weirdly,
solves it.
unlike most of the idiosyncratic titles, this one is mentioned in the show.
Right. Well, the heat
And-
as
Heat
well.
was, too.
That's true.
What was?
Once
Heat?
Key and Peele came in, they started
Right.
mentioning them in the show. So maybe they existed in the universe
Right.
before the episode they were introduced in, and they were having these arguments, and we just didn't see it.
Well, for the 160 some days they were on watch, they were just having these discussions every day.
Yep.
I believe it.
Man, I could see like the third season of Fargo being them.
I would
Don't-
be
I
okay
don't-
with them coming back.
I don't want them back.
I don't...
They won
I'm
me
okay.
over.
Man, someone's hating on Key and Peele over here.
Yeah,
They
because
won-
I don't think they belonged in the show.
I thought they were perfectly
I haven't
fine.
liked them so far, but I thought they were better in this couple episodes.
Yeah.
They had something to do rather than be buffoons.
Rather than just
Did
be,
you just hate the characters, or do you hate the actors?
I hated their buffoonishness, like the fact that they were just like
so the characters.
like they felt like they were doing a Key and Peele sketch.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. I mean, felt like Noah Hawley just likes Key and Peele and
Yeah.
wanted to have them in the show, but it worked.
It's
Yeah.
like, well, like for me, like Key and Peele, like they're all right. Everyone talked about, oh man, they're amazing. And I'm like, and every time I see them, I'm like, yeah, it's all right. But it's
Right.
like, but then like when I see them in this, and it just seems like they felt out of place.
I thought they
Right.
were fine. It's just that
yeah.
Of course you did.
I think you guys just have you know who they are, so it's screwed
sure.
up.
But anyway,
Yeah, so we've moved on to episode 10, and in this episode, so like Key and Peele have taken Lester back to his home. They're keeping an eye on him there. The manhunt for Lorne is up and swinging. The plan is to use Lester as bait to bring Lorne out, and then all the FBI backup is going to swoop in and capture him. And Gus finds out from Lou that Lorne's in town. Lou found out that Lorne's in town from Molly when he finds out that Lester's wife was murdered,
right.
and goes and takes his shotgun, parks himself on the porch of the house, and he's just like, "I'm gonna protect my family
Yeah.
with a gun all night."
I love him.
I love that little just like sentinel in the night
yeah.
Yep.
image of just like hanging out all night long. Her Gus comes out. It's 7:00 in the morning. What are you doing on my porch with a shotgun?
Yeah.
And then he finds out that Malvo's back, and
Right.
he wants to go find out where
Right.
Molly is to keep her safe.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he calls Molly, tells her, don't leave the station until he's dead.
Oh, and that was difficult for her to swallow.
Right.
I'm sure it was
But-
because she
but
has
and it
taken
was-
such ownership of
Right,
this.
and in the past, every time someone's told her that, she's like, "No, I'm gonna go do this," and this time, 'cause
She
she's
has
got
a
her family on the
baby.
way. She's
Prager's.
got everything going on with Gus and her whole family. So she's like, oh, okay, I'll step back.
And he coincidentally finds.
He almost runs over a wolf, a very nice,
Yeah.
very well kempt wolf.
Yeah,
It's a
very
beautiful wolf.
It was. I was like, I want that wolf.
it was like very like it was not even threatening at all. I want that picture on my
Right.
wall.
It was supposed to be like a stoic.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it
was obviously
felt
a
like
tame
it was
wolf.
supposed to be almost like a spiritual
Is it
image
like,
because of the two times it shows up in this episode.
Yeah.
Both times are very significant. So he almost hits the wolf and looks over and sees the red BMW because Molly just told him, "Oh yeah, he's got a red BMW. He's hanging out somewhere around here." He sees it, So he kind of pulls off to the side and goes through the woods, sees Lauren leaving. And one thing that I noticed, he sees Lauren's silver hair and is just like, maybe. I think that's him. Mm-hmm. And Molly had mentioned before in her briefing, like, oh, he's changed his look. His hair's silver now. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody seems really distracted by his hair color. Like, is that all you need to be a master of disguise? Is just change your hair color? Nope, no, officer, that's clearly not me. My hair's blue.
You know what? Robert Durst tried it.
Yeah, that's true.
Didn't work.
But I digress.
Is Malvo heading to the
Malvo's
car
heading
dealership
to
to get
car dealership at this point? Yes. So yeah, I got ahead of myself and we jumbled the storylines here. That's what I get for my sloppy note taking. You know, I let everyone down.
We were relying on you for your notes because we didn't take any.
Yeah,
I took comments.
Yeah. So Lauren test drives this car that looks like an undercover cop car. It's even got the big antenna on the back.
Yep.
And they follow Key and Peele back to Lester's house. He kills Key and Peele very summarily, and I like.
He likes duct tape. That Lauren Malvo.
Yeah, he does. I can never.
He pulls another chump kind of scenario.
Yeah,
where he's duct taped the dealer to the car.
Right.
Which he's out in the woods.
The taller guy.
Oh, which one is Key and which one's Peele?
Yeah.
Key is the tall guy.
Okay. Yeah, so Key's had this, like, running theme throughout this whole episode of, like, is this a dream?
Yeah.
Like, are we dreaming right now? Am I, like, asleep and just kind of, this is just a weird thing?
Yeah.
And he has that moment right as he looks through the window and he sees the guy's hands are duct taped and he looks and he sees Lauren coming up behind him about to kill him. He's like, this is all a dream.
So he's solipsist or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't say that. It was the shorter guy, Peele.
No,
Key,
it was Key.
Oh, I thought the shorter
Key
guy
and
was like,
Michael Key.
Nope.
oh.
The shorter guy is more the rational type.
Yeah, I know,
he's
but
been that way
I thought he was the one. Like that's what made it surprising because he's like, this is a dream. Be like, because I thought.
Yeah, it was Key who said this was all a dream, and then they both die.
Well, now I don't even want to do this anymore. I'm going home.
Goodbye.
All right.
So they're dead, and Lauren's coming into the house. Lester sees the trails of blood from their bodies.
Yeah.
And goes down to the basement. Which when I saw this box here, it says Chaz's hunting gear. Mm-hmm. First, I was like, is he living in Chaz's house?
No, they showed him.
No.
They showed the handoff
wife
2 episodes ago. Where's
gave him the box of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was like, that would be kind of weird if you
Nope.
sent your brother to prison, disenfranchised his wife, sent his kid to juvie, and took his house.
Dude, that'd be crazy.
But he goes into Chaz's hunting gear, and then Lauren breaks in.
I was really excited. I was like, is he going to Home Alone this situation?
He did, and that's what I wrote right there.
Yeah.
Home Alone Fargo.
Yeah.
He hides in the bathroom and acts like he's on the phone with the police. Mm-hmm. Lures Lauren up right into a bear trap under a pile of laundry.
That was pretty good.
This is a great scene.
It is. It's a fantastic little shootout. And Lester just like he's hiding in the bathroom, and Lauren's shooting through the door before he heads off. Because his leg is pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he's also like Lauren got in that throw with the Salesman of the Year trophy.
Yeah. Breaks
Lester's nose again.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I forgot about
Good
that.
call.
It's bookended by nose breaking.
So Lester's like he's following Lauren's blood trail out of the house, and there's that phenomenal close up of him as he sees the cars driven off. He's like, I chased him away.
Yeah, I win.
I beat him, and he's just got like this blood pouring out of his face, and he's just got this smile.
Yep.
But
yeah,
that's just kind of his like little moment of triumph.
Mm-hmm. And
So
then
that's
Lauren heads on back to that cabin.
He
right?
does to his little cabin in the woods, and he's got his emergency medical kit. We see that Lauren's going to need a doctor for that thing.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Nah, he's a dentist. He'll figure it out.
I don't think he's the kind of guy that goes to a doctor, though.
Right. Or maybe a vet.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I almost thought that leg wound, because it was just real nasty. I almost thought it was a little too gross.
But bear traps are serious
Right.
business.
I just like visually, like it's so gross that you're kind of like
it was very.
you're able to look and be like, ugh, that's like crazy TV stuff. Like it's kind of that power of suggestion. If they had just showed you like the blood and the flaps
Oh,
of
yeah.
skin, and then not showing
Right.
you like the bone flipping back into place.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like-
yeah.
Yeah, and he was like,
That's great.
Like when he
I
was,
kind of, I liked that.
oh yeah, because you're a sadist.
Yeah, that's
It,
true.
it definitely illustrated how tough Lorne is and how
Yeah. He had to
badly
just
messed
pop
up
it
he is at
in.
this time.
Well, see, but the problem is like when he was walking, like he was just limping a bit. It's like no, if your leg was like that, you wouldn't be limping
That's
on
true.
that. You would
Yeah,
be
but this
like,
is also the guy who
but you like literally
survives
like,
everything.
but literally the
They've
bones.
made Lauren superhuman.
He is a supernatural.
But I know what
force.
you're saying,
But
Stitch.
his bone is so broken that even if he tried to put pressure on that thing,
His other bone would sink into his flesh.
and
right?
it would probably like actually. It seems like it would just like collapse on itself, or it physically
yeah,
cannot
it
hold
would
him up.
crumple.
I think at this point, kind of, and like we've complained a little bit about how tough he's gotten, but I think it's almost on purpose to illustrate like his role as just like this supernatural force of terribleness that swept into their lives. Like, because he's kicked off this whole cascade of death and destruction.
Right.
You guys are right, by the way, about the Key and Peele thing.
We knew that.
Yeah,
you didn't have to
look it
tell
up.
us.
But
Sorry,
I'm glad.
I kind of like.
An hour and 17 minutes.
Okay,
But,
we need to
yeah,
wrap.
let's wrap. Let's.
I kind of like the idea if Peele would have been like, "This is a dream," or kind of convince him, and then he gets killed.
All right, we're
Okay.
not talking about that.
But
Yeah, so Lauren's doctoring up his leg, shooting himself full of morphine.
yeah,
He's in real bad shape here. And
got
then
a
all of a
little
And he's
sudden,
not alone.
he sees that wolf outside his back window.
That wolf. that reminded
really,
yeah.
really nice looking wolf. I just that is a photogenic wolf.
Yeah.
They
Did
got
that-
that black and gray, real like high contrast, real good looking wolf, which makes me think he's not real. He's like a spirit creature, because he sees that wolf, and then there's Gus Grimley going all dirty Harry on him, and he says this great just staring him down, and none of that like fear that we've seen in Gus before. Like, he's rock solid. He's got this gun trained on him. He knows exactly what he's going to do. He's like, I finally figured it out about the shades of green. And then shoots him 3 times in the stomach.
But
And then he shoots him again.
Well, he's not dead yet.
Right. Lauren gets back up and just is like smiling at him with this
Blood seeping
just
through his teeth.
maniacal,
That's-
like fanatical, supernatural evil look, which is really quite unsettling.
yeah, like that, like made me kind of pause. Did he say something before he shot him? Like, good for you.
He said, "Good for you," right? I said, that I figured out about the shades of green.
Yep.
Which that was like, to me, that's really cool because you expect him to kind of like maybe explain something or say something, but he really just doesn't care.
Right.
He's just like, he's cornered and
It was-
cornered and he's gonna die and he knows
It was all a game for him all along, and he just lost, so he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So Gus shoots him 3 times in the stomach and then twice in the head, and Lauren finally dies. And Gus, and this was just a nice touch too, is Gus, in the past has been a sloppy policeman and unprofessional. He does what you're supposed to do when you've taken down an armed attacker. He takes his weapon away from him, which is like a nice touch of showing him having that same kind of like
And
rigorousness
apparently-
that Molly always showed.
Once a cop, never any consequences. You know what I mean? He's a postman, and he came and shot this guy, vigilante justice.
Well, if
and it's okay.
he hadn't had a suitcase full of
I guess
tapes
he
that
could
incriminated
like.
him,
That's true.
then maybe.
I mean, he's a former cop. This guy was a wanted mass murderer.
He could claim self-defense.
I think
Stand
it's-
your ground, right?
in that guy's
Something.
house.
I think, and yeah, they're probably not going to ask too many questions
Yeah.
about what led to Lauren Malvo's death.
Like this
Yeah.
guy's been
Small
wanted.
town justice too, so
Right.
there's that as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost to the point where it's like it's
So
almost,
it's what do you call it? A close knit community.
Yeah.
it's almost one of those points where you can almost justify yourself getting in trouble for doing it just because this guy's so terrifying that you think, well, he's gotten out of a situation so easily, he could easily get out of this one, so I'd rather this guy die than him go out and kill everybody in the town.
Yeah, I understand his
And nuke it.
motivation.
Right.
but-
So Gus eventually kills him.
yeah.
And then we have one of the things I was wanting to know is what happened with his collection of incriminating tapes.
And it turns out,
Turns out
Right there.
he brings them with him everywhere he goes so he can listen to people's misery. And Molly finds that tape of Lester confessing to killing his wife, and that that's what she wrote right there. She's she's got his number. I'm assuming Chaz is probably going to get out of prison, we hope.
Yeah, she's now the chief because Bill Oswalt just can't handle
broke
it.
under the pressure and quit.
It's too much. It was a lot of pressure, to be fair,
Yeah.
for his first year.
He's got an
as chief.
Ethiopian child now, or a Sudanese refugee child.
Adult child.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, she's in charge, and we finally see what this episode opened with. That shot of a snowmobile, collapsed on the ice, leading to a big hole in a lake. Was Lester Nygaard's last stand, making a break for the Canadian border.
Yep.
And gets caught by Border Patrol and decides he's going to flee out over a lake of thin ice. And he gets everything he deserves.
There he goes.
Yeah.
Goes right through the ice.
I couldn't imagine a worse way to die.
I think that the last scene in this overall very fantastic final hour of Fargo, Molly gets the call that Lester is dead. And I like how she's just like, oh yeah? Well, okay. Let me know what the
Fish him out of the water. Yeah, that's right.
And like that's it for her.
Yeah.
She's not on any crusade about it, and she goes back down with her family. And they watch TV, talk about, oh, I'm getting a medal.
Didn't the end of the Fargo movie kind of end sort of the same way, where it's just kind of like something amazing happens, and then it's just like, okay.
The female cop's husband just got his stamp certified, and he has a conversation. It's like, it's not the 50-cent stamp, it's just a
2-cent.
2-cent. And then she says, well, when they raise postage, they'll need your 2-cent stamp.
Right.
That's the final scene.
Yeah.
I think, and that one of the last lines here was when Gus says that he's getting the commendation for bravery, and his daughter's like, "Oh, you're a coward. Or you're afraid of spiders."
Yeah.
Buzz Aldrin was afraid of spiders, and he went to the moon.
So the title of this episode. Oh,
yeah, I was just gonna say that was that's how it ends, with that
Right.
nice little quiet moment of a family that didn't destroy themselves.
The storm is blown over.
Yeah.
so episode title is Morton's Fork, which is basically the situation where two contradictory arguments lead to different but equally unpleasant circumstances.
It's a logical fallacy. It's
Right. Well,
because it's a false equivalency where you're saying if A then A, but also if B then A.
yeah.
Because reasons.
Like the classic example is, if you are living modestly, then you're saving money, therefore you can afford to pay taxes. But if you're living extravagantly, then you're rich, therefore you can afford to pay taxes.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and the situation that I see this happening in is when Gus finally gets caught. Not Gus, when Lester finally gets caught at the border, and he has to decide between being arrested and going over that lake.
Yeah. I think it also applies to the entire series, kind of the whole arc of, like, that's what led to everything, was this choice of, I mean, do you want me to murder him? Because I'll kill him. Or do you want to keep getting pushed around? And it was that bad choice between two illogical decisions that Lester was given at the very beginning of the series that kind of spiraled this entire thing out of control.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we never talked about it in the last episode, but we know the cabbage was the wife, right? Was Lester's wife in this scenario? No?
I didn't think about it that way, but I could see your point.
I was saying women are cabbages.
Yes.
Okay.
So now it's time for me to disagree with everyone and tell you why I was disappointed with the series.
Oh.
So, I mean, the finale shows us, and I thought this was great, okay? The finale shows us how much Gus and Molly have grown as characters. For the entire series, Gus is just screwing up one thing after the other, getting ahead of himself, making mistakes, can't pin down Malvo when he has them.
Right.
And then Molly, the entire series, has been after him, trying to prove that he's the guy that they need to arrest. And in this final episode, Molly never meets him and doesn't arrest him. And Gus, the person who's been ineffectual since the beginning of the series, is the one who takes him down. And that's great. That's really cool character development. That's a great way they turned that scenario around from the entire series up until now.
So you loved it.
But
So Molly didn't need to catch him, which was
Right.
hugely important.
Right.
It was no longer
Well, and I think that was part of it, was that Molly wasn't on a crusade to kill
Right.
Lorne Malvo. She was on a crusade to bring the murderers to justice. She wanted to see justice done. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter that she's the one to pull the trigger or to put the handcuffs on.
But my problem comes in the fact that we don't really get closure. We don't really get character development for many of the other characters outside of those two. I don't feel that Bill Oswalt's breakdown at the end was really character development. I felt like that was just the passing of the torch, the circle becoming unbroken of her taking over the department.
Right.
I mean,
We don't see what happens with...
it's really quick. Like for him, I feel like going from just completely doubting Molly, like going from that to actually like solely trusting and just kind of realizing to himself that, well, she was completely right. She did all this work, and like you can just see in the character that he's transforming and realizing that he's not cut out to be sheriff or chief. He's not cut out to be chief, and that it's just better for him to give the torch to Molly. Like I thought.
that's 100% what they tell us with his dialogue. But to me, it felt like they were just doing this to move that character into being the chief. The same way I felt like the only reason Malvo listened to those tapes is so that those tapes would exist for Molly to find later. And I mean, the biggest example of where this problem comes in for me is
Chekhov's tapes.
we watch 9 episodes of Lester changing from this hapless, weak-willed man into a conniving, calculating one who is controlling his own fate. And he actually becomes very good at it by the end. He even manages to outsmart Malvo for 1 second. And you'll remember the first episode 1 of the podcast. My problem was that this was too much unlike the Fargo movie. But the episodes in between then proved to me that that's fine. It's like, this is good. It isn't the movie. It's its own thing. It's going its own way, making its own points. And all of a sudden, they end the final scene with a tonally identical scene to the one where we see William H. Macy arrested in his underwear in a hotel.
That was a great scene.
Where we see Lester running into the ice, even though he knows he's just going to fall in and die. It's this whimper instead of...
Was it a whimper, or was it him saying he's not going to be arrested? You know, he's so obsessed with being in control of his own fate, he's going to run out in the ice until he dies, because then he's going out.
Maybe
it felt to me like it swung
like Lauren said with that bear,
way.
the bear that chewed its own foot off and died.
Right.
But he went out on his own terms.
Sure.
That's what Lester's still doing, because he's obsessed with being in control.
Or maybe
And I understand his motivation for it, but it felt like they had gone so far away from being the farce of the Fargo movie that for them to come back and end with a farcical ending scene.
I didn't think it was farcical. I thought it was a good ending.
I thought like
I
No,
thought
a farcical ending can be good. It's just that the tone was like a complete 180 to, oh yeah, we're just like the movie. We're nothing like the movie, but we're just like the movie.
I guess since I don't remember the movie that well, so I wasn't comparing it at all to expecting it to be totally different than the movie, so that didn't occur to me at all. But like, I thought kind of it was illustrating the point that I feel like they were making with this whole series was about reaching for too much, about like greed, kind of would be the most reductive way to put it, but like everybody was trying to reach for something.
Sure.
Lauren was trying to reach for making everyone miserable and accruing money from his assassin contracts and whatnot, and that's why he went down his path. Molly was trying to just be respected. Gus wanted to be, he wanted to be happy. He just wants a simple life where he's a postman and has a family. Lester wanted control. He wanted authority, and kind of the different ways that these people have all reached out for, wanting to hold to themselves certain things and to different extents of
and it's really
selfishness and greed, and kind of that's what that nice little family ending scene of the three of them on the couch, because these are people who wanted something simple, something right.
And I can't argue with that scene. I like that scene quite a bit because those are the two best characters in the series by far.
Right. And then like Lester, though, he was just reaching for something far beyond what he should have.
And my problem with that is that they practically took him right back to what William H. Macy's character was in the end, which
Yes,
was
yeah.
this guy who everything he'd done backfired, and he wasn't going to go down without a fight, and it's this loss of grace that he has at the end.
And is it bad that it's the same thing? If it's a good character,
It's
is
not
it
bad that it's
to
the
have a
same
good
thing, but
character
it's
twice?
just that they'd spent 8 episodes convincing me that it was okay to be different, and then they say, but we're actually the same.
I mean, maybe
There is a lot of
selfishness and
allusions
greed
to
always
Fargo,
runs to
though.
the same road.
Yeah, and I've seen that movie more times than I probably should remember it better than that. But then I just felt like that ending where like because you kind of like for me I kind of forgot about Lester until the point where he's on the snowmobile. I'm like, oh yeah, he's not dead and he's still guilty. So then the fact that he goes out there, he's trying to run. I think he's trying to go to Canada. If like.
So it
Yeah.
seemed like because the border patrol. Or the
Yeah.
people
He was
that
going to
chasing him.
Canada.
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
was trying to run. I think across the the
Yeah,
river
yeah.
at the other end is Canada.
Uh-huh.
So, like he's just running, and then he's running. He's so intent and focused on trying to get away, and not listening to the border patrol agents behind him. That they're yelling, "Hey, that's thin
I think
ice."
he hears them. He just doesn't care at that point.
I just
He thinks that, hey, the universe has worked out for me so far. Let's try my luck.
Which, if I was
But-
him, I would have just started walking as soon as
Yeah.
I realized they weren't following me. You could lay down and like shimmy across the ice.
But yeah, I don't really agree with you because they had allusions to Fargo all throughout the series, so they never let you forget that this is a Fargo movie. I mean, Molly turned into the character in Fargo when she became this pregnant cop or whatever. But my big problem with this series is Lorne Malvo. I did not like his character, and I know I'm the only one in the world, but it was totally unbelievable, completely broad strokes and ridiculous. And that's fine for just, whatever, watching it.
I think he's just your run-of-the-mill sociopath.
well written. He was well written, I think.
I think he was a little more than just like a run of the mill. He was, he's supposed to represent this like calculatingly evil person that is.
He's
come
like
into
a
very
representation
But
unassuming-
if I
evil.
view it that way, then I can't believe his character. I have to view him as just a sociopath
Yeah.
because everything that he's succeeded in throughout the entire series is completely luck-based.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he showed up at just the right time and grabbed that shotgun at just the right time to shoot the old sheriff. He showed up at just the right time and managed to not get shot by any of those crime lord guys.
Mm-hmm.
Found out at the last minute possible to get out of the way when Wrench and Numbers were trying to kill him. It's like it's just been one string of good luck after the other, and everyone falling for his little mind games the exact perfect way for him in order to succeed.
Well, but that's just skill at mind games right there.
Sure.
It's just being uber calculating.
If we're being honest, you don't know how someone's going to react when you're messing with them on that high of a level.
Well, and maybe there's a lot
mean,
of
if
things he
you're-
does that doesn't.
If
like-
you're playing with chaos, maybe it doesn't matter how they react,
Yeah.
just as long as they do react, and that gives him. Because if he's just if his tool is luck, he's going to be a very good improviser. So he doesn't need a plan; he just needs
A reaction.
things to happen, and
Oh,
then
and-
he can work off that.
And like the first person to actually stand up to him, which I think was the guy, like the old guy inside of the
That was Gus.
or
Was
yeah,
the first one to stand up to him.
yeah.
but he eventually backed down. But then the one to actually stay up was the old guy, and then after that is when everything fell down around him. He got killed.
Well, yeah. My final comment about what I thought about this series is I thought it was very entertaining, but I will never consider it one of the greats because it held your hand so hard throughout the entire series. It told you very clearly what's good, what's bad, didn't make you really think all that much except for the parables that they, shoved in there occasionally. Those kind of got your thoughts going,
But to take what I just said and what you just said and then completely turn it back around on itself, if I'm capable of complaining about these things about a TV show, how fucking good is TV now?
yeah,
right?
it's so
Yeah.
good.
If I can
Unless
nitpick
it's on
these little
NBC.
things, if I can say that a anthology series that was 10 really amazing episodes with beautiful directing, great dialogue, amazing ideas was something that disappointed me,
Yeah. Well, and
it's actually a fantastic show.
And I guess kind of, and going back on what you said about it being very like hand holding, kind of black and white, good and evil. I think in a way, it kind of, I don't really need a show to challenge my understanding of what's right and what's wrong.
See, that's
But
where we differ.
for something that's like this is a character piece, how does Molly and Gus and Lester and these other characters react to being put in these situations where Lester, at the beginning of the first episode was a guy who never has done anything controversial his entire life, is now involved in this web of murder and deceit. And how does that change him? How does he react? What does that do? For me, that's more interesting than trying to puzzle out who's right and who's wrong. Just seeing how these characters bounce around this, this Skinner box of evil.
And to me, it's just the idea when you're looking back, on all these things that happened, all of this started off with just a conversation between Lester and Malvo. And that's me going back, if Lester didn't even think about it again, he just left. He's like, oh, well, that guy was weird.
Really,
nothing would have happened. It was all Lester kind of basically firing the first shot and then having all this stuff happen and just the chaos and the death and the killing and all that stuff. And it's just, I think, just the fact.
Well, a lot of it would have happened either way because it was Malvo just doing his jobs that he had.
Well, part of it, but also part of it, especially near the end, is because
Here's what you could say is Malvo would still be alive if he hadn't gotten involved with Lester.
Yeah. But at the same time, though, Malvo would have still just been going to Las Vegas, found that guy's brother,
Yeah, he would have killed him.
Yeah, but then
He would have killed the crime boss.
Yeah, and then Lester, basically Lester, the fact that he convinced this really weak-willed and nervous guy and convinced him, and just talked to him for a little bit, and it came back around and bit him in the ass. I mean, coincidentally, I mean, they both did go to Las Vegas at the same time. What are the odds? But either way, it's the fact that it just came around and it caused him, who was this unstoppable force, to be killed by the meekest former police officer ever. I just think the way that loops around on itself makes it such a good series. But then again, like I said, a lot of that stuff, maybe by me being biased because how much stuff is actually based in Minnesota and all that. And, what?
Yeah. You're biased because it took place in Minnesota.
Well, I definitely agree.
Hey, he was a dentist in Kansas City.
Hey, there we go. So this show is all about where I've been to most of my life.
I definitely agree with. I liked the poetic nature of Gus being the one to take down Lorne. It's and the fact that
fantastic.
The fact that it doesn't sully him, the way that Lester selfishly murdering his wife, broke everything about him, to Gus killing Lorne because it was the right thing to do to stop this guy, is poetically a very good character moment.
He was forced to make the moral decision to take his first life, or he could have just held him. What?
Well, Molly would have arrested him.
Okay,
and that would have been the right thing to do for her.
Yeah, the right thing to do for her, but at the same time, he knows that Malvo slipped through his fingers before.
I don't think that vigilante justice is inherently moral.
No, I agree, but the whole thing is Malvo has slipped through his fingers before, and I don't think he wanted that to happen, because if he slipped through his fingers again,
sure, and
he would come out and go after
sense,
Molly.
In that sense, killing him there was a shortcut, and I feel like shortcuts were what the show was against in the beginning. That concept you said of grabbing too much, of arresting someone when you don't really have the details to arrest him.
Right.
And so this final shortcut turns out to be the release in the series. I don't know.
I just think it's him. I think it's him protecting his family.
I don't know if I agree with it or not.
I think it's him protecting his family because, like I said, Malvo slipped through his fingers before, and he was arrested, and he's afraid of him coming out again.
No, I understand why the character did it.
Yeah,
his motivations are very
I'm just
clear.
saying that it might undermine the message that I felt the show has been telling me since the beginning.
I think it.
But I mean,
and the way it should have, I don't know.
It's a good show. It's very entertaining, a little cartoonish in the portrayal of evil, but I would recommend it.
I would say this was one of the best shows of the season. of 2014. I should
This
say
is the best season.
this
of
is
Fargo.
the best show. That's not what I said.
I know.
I think this is one of the best shows that came out in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nitpicking because I like to nitpick,
Yeah.
but this was an excellent, well-directed, well-written, well-acted show
Yeah.
where I'm just choosing a few little things to complain about.
Right.
And I liked everything about it other than like maybe the final step of Lester's character arc.
I think 2014.
Whoops.
I think 2014 was a very it was an awesome time where TV, like American TV, is finally ending the story at the end of that season.
Yeah.
I like
Anthology TV is back.
Yeah.
We haven't had that since like the 60s.
Yeah.
Right.
It's great because
I don't need to watch 10 years of television to know what's going on this season.
Yep.
that's why I will not watch Walking Dead. And like people I hear on and off that's good or bad, but the whole fact is like why I don't want to watch this thing that just seems to never end. It's the fact that like we have True Detective, we have Fargo. I don't know if any other shows
American
did it.
Horror Story does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that is
Black Mirror.
Yeah, the fact that like that is back. It feels like I can just watch.
The American. No.
Maybe it's a writer's pushback because trying to do 22 episodes
It's
a
exhausting.
season
I think it's
for multiple seasons on the same story makes the story blown out.
it's
We
just
also
a
get-
natural reaction to the migration from network TV to basic cable
Right.
and beyond.
Digital
Premium
distribution makes
premium,
it easier to
yeah.
do that.
Exactly. So it's really liberated writers to not be beholden to the syndication model.
If you
It's,
can creatively target towards the binge watchers.
it's not just like mini series anymore. It's like entire series are going that
Yeah.
route.
And the right they know that it's up to them to make the writing so good that you trust in them to make the next season good. It's completely new, which I think will make it so they don't have to have ties to the previous. You guys probably already said the exact same thing, but I didn't.
So
Yeah,
we're all going to have a fist fight after the show to decide whether it was good or not.
It was good.
No, I think we all agree it was
Yeah.
really, really good.
yeah.
That was our extremely long review.
Lord.
It was the final episode, though. We
Yeah.
are talking about the whole series.
Right.
So it makes sense that it was longer.
and I came in tired
And
And full.
we had
in full.
you had caffeine, though.
Yeah, but caffeine. That's
And we're not done because we have Trope Talk.
troll talk.
As you consume stories, you begin to identify...
Bluff.
Bubbles. Bubble.
As you consume stories, you begin to identify literary devices, character archetypes, classic scenarios, and more. Whether it's the supervillain who explains his scheme to the heroes after capturing them, the monster of the week formula of X-Files and Buffy, or the will they, won't they sitcom cliche. These patterns are collectively referred to as tropes. Tank, what's today's trope?
Well, it's genre blindness, but before I go into that, a weird thing happened on the way up here. So we were driving over here, right, to JJ's place to record this podcast.
This is a parable.
And I saw these guys outside. They were just like kind of weird looking, like sick and shambling around.
Yeah.
Walkers.
Yeah, I don't, did any of you see them? I have no idea.
Are you
what
talking
to do.
about
Homeless.
the infected?
Homeless
They-
people.
They looked. I don't know. I don't know what.
The CDC announced there was some kind of weird virus going around.
I mean, should we go ask them if they need help? I mean, I've been
Yeah,
thinking
they
about
look
them this whole
sick.
time.
The,
We should
the
probably-
news said not to approach them.
I don't know.
I mean, they might. I mean, they're people, right?
We're pretty close to college here, so it could have just been a bunch of college students. We don't
Yeah,
know.
they were probably just drunk and
Oh,
yeah.
partying. Like,
Or just college students.
Or
or rioting.
right, drugs. The drugs. That's what that noise
drugs.
means.
That plays
yeah,
on the
bath
radio.
salts.
They're slurping their sodas.
yep, that's what I was
Moaning.
going for.
Anywho, this tangent we've just gone on was a nice practical demonstration of genre blindness, which is where the characters in a story don't know that they're in a story and have never heard of the type of story that they're in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paul F.
For instance,
Tompkins has a really good little bit about this with the series Sleepy Hollow. It's like, okay, this is a show where the book Sleepy Hollow doesn't exist and
Right.
none of the lore exists. Because they would say that, oh, this is kind of like the Headless Horseman.
Right. Yeah, and that's and it's a very recurring trait in zombie films.
Right.
Where no one has ever heard of a zombie. No one knows how to kill a zombie. No one knows anything.
In zombie movies don't exist.
Right. In horror movies don't exist. In werewolf movies, etc., etc., etc. And that's how you get the, there's an axe murderer. Let's all split up and let's, make sure we are in separate rooms of the house and can never help each other.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a necessary trait of telling that sort of story and keeping it fresh, because otherwise, you've got a bigger problem with suspension of disbelief.
Right.
Where it's like, it's zombies. Okay, yeah, we're just going to enact our zombie plan that we've had for years and we're safe.
Which could be a fun movie in its own way.
It
which
could.
you kind of get
which
a
is
little bit
that's
with
like Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead, exactly.
They subvert this with the other end of this trope, which is genre savviness, where the characters realize, wait a minute, this is exactly like every horror movie I've ever seen.
Yes.
This is a zombie movie. Let's get our friends. Let's stay close. Let's go to the safe place with a gun and hole up there.
Doesn't Simon Pegg do that a lot? Didn't he do that with
Yes, they do it with Hot Fuzz as well.
Yeah, there's a
Hot
lot of like
Fuzz
movie
and
cliches.
Right.
Paul,
Right.
the alien coming down, and also what is it? The
There's
last
World's End.
one of my
World's End,
personal
yeah.
favorite like genre savvy deconstruction
Deconstruction?
situations
Scrunchy.
is the Rick and Morty episode Needful Things,
Yes.
where the devil basically comes and sets up a
Little curio shop.
yes, where he's
Yeah.
selling these things that are actually cursed and
Right.
cause horrible stuff to happen, and he immediately recognizes,
These
are
are devices that give me something good, but with an ironic twist.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty
And then he
good.
sets up his own shop that removes the curses, and then
Right.
you just get the good stuff.
Yeah.
Which is-
Or there's the most genre savvy character on television
Abed?
would be Abed in Community.
Hey.
Like every episode, he's literally saying, "Oh, this is like that's how I understand life, is by comparing it to the movies and TV shows I've
Yep.
seen." And that's an interesting way to subvert those kind of stories. Just like, oh yeah, that's how you
Yeah.
get.
And
I'm low on practical
gonna have-
examples. We're 2
you're-
hours in them.
Sure. But you're going to have those genre blindness situations. Like you said,
Right.
it's kind of necessary, but the key is to disguise it.
Right.
Or-
not making
or-
it super obvious that these characters should have seen a zombie
Right.
movie.
Or the other option is to like completely lampshade it.
Right.
Be like in Galaxy Quest, where Guy says, "Have you guys ever watched this show before?"
Right.
When they're making the classic mistakes that
Mhm.
they would have made in the show.
Right.
And there's also like The Last Action Hero.
Mm.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I have.
No.
Where the villain finally... So the idea is this kid gets sucked into an action movie, and then he finally escapes the action movie, but the villains from that movie come out into the real world, and the villain says, after he shoots someone, I think, maybe he just beats him up, but he says, "We can win here." Because in the movies, obviously, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Another example would be like if you were in a sitcom, if you knew that you were in a sitcom, you'd be a lot more careful not to have misunderstandings.
Right.
You wouldn't just jump to the first conclusion.
Exactly. And that's the fuel that pretty much every sitcom runs on is not knowing, wait, every sitcom scenario ever happened because everyone didn't communicate. If we just sit down and talk through our problems, well,
And
now there's no show and nobody's watching. And say with a
Exactly.
movie, if everyone is like, oh yeah, this is how we solve the problem.
If Bond villains knew that they were in a Bond movie, they would just shoot him in the head.
Right.
They wouldn't leave him in the pit of sharks.
Exactly. And you get some movies like Cabin in the Woods where they play with this on both directions. There's like the genre savvy. I keep saying genre. Weird.
Genre.
There's the more savvy characters who are like, oh yeah, okay, we're going to stick together. We're not going to
do
split
not
up.
split up.
And then they like pump the gas into the room and they're like, everyone split up.
Yeah. Fantastic.
That's a great movie.
That is a really good
Yeah.
movie.
That is a
Did you hear the
fantastic-
initial pitch for that movie? What they described
I
it
did
as?
not.
They called it the horror equivalent of Upstairs Downstairs.
Oh, that
That's
old
awesome.
British show, right?
Yeah, about the servants downstairs and the yeah.
Old Downton Abbey.
So it's the control room and then the
Right.
pretty awesome. Any other examples we should give? Then another example
few
of genre
we can
savvy
scroll
is from everyone's favorite movie, Dogma.
Ah.
I do
Everyone
love that
loves
movie.
that movie. I've never heard anyone roll their eyes or moan.
It's because I haven't seen that movie.
Oh,
Azrael is like this fallen angel who's causing a lot of problems, and he has a plan to like end the world. And then he says, "I'm not going to reveal that plan because I've seen enough Bond movies to know better than that."
Right.
that's a classic. Kevin Smith is very
Yeah.
referential in everything
Yes.
he does.
Well, there's
You should watch
kind of more
Tusk.
genre blind.
You should
would
watch
be-
Tusk. It'll make you not like Kevin Smith ever again.
more genre blind would be. I think everything Kevin Smith's ever done makes me not like Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I'm not a huge
Clerks
fan.
one.
Clerks
That's all right.
1.
Like
I do like Dogma a lot.
I've never seen
2 hours, guys.
Oh,
I don't know.
We've dug ourselves too
I'm
deep.
causing-
So your one example.
I'm causing digressions and then yelling at everyone for digressing. I like Orphan Black is one where the characters don't know they're in a sci-fi show.
Yeah.
So even though the cops are finding evidence of clones,
Yes.
they would never think of clones. So none of them are thinking clones, even though
Or
it's a sci-fi show. So why wouldn't it be clones?
here's a great one. Scully not knowing she's in the X-Files.
Exactly.
Come on,
Or-
Scully.
or she-
That's clearly a UFO.
She's a diehard skeptic all the way till the T-1000 joins the show.
Yep.
At which point they have to bring in another skeptic and another Mulder character to bring that dynamic back in.
I can't wait to get to that part.
I have heard some fan theories saying she was simply staying skeptical just to be contrarian.
Nah.
But yes, I think that was just kind of that always bugged
That's how you
me.
justify it to yourself.
After like Scully, you've been abducted by aliens and had every terrible supernatural experience in the book.
They could have avoided having it feel completely cliched if once in a while Mulder was wrong
right.
Oh yeah,
instead of always being right.
like the
Right.
whole house thing. Yeah.
But anyway, if no one else has any more examples, I think we'll end it with that.
Ooh, this is a long
Yeah, if you
one.
want some more, and more on any of these tropes that we've talked
tweet
about,
us.
head to tvtropes.org.
No, tweet us,
No,
and
don't-
then we will
Whoa.
meet.
Tweet us,
we will meet it out
but-
one trope at a time.
But no, you can.
No, don't give out our secrets.
tvtropes.org is a great resource if you want to read more
Yes.
about these. And they
Go there and then stop listening
They
to the
have-
podcast.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tank.
Hey, they don't have our witty banter, but they
No, all we have are tropes.
they have exhaustive examples on all of these tropes. If you're interested in reading more.
Or
All
just-
right.
Yeah, whatever.
So that's it for the Fool's Lantern podcast.
Fool's
Make
Lantern.
sure to tune in next time if you want to find out who the father of Stitch's child is. And that's going to be it.
There are some days that look so bright.
There are some lies that seem so dark.
How could you walk against the wind?
How could you stop the earth go round?
You never know which road to take.
One never knows which way goes down.
Will you get back once to the shore?
Are you ready for the fight?
Our intro theme, the Gypsy Song, was made available via Creative Commons by the Freak Fandango Orchestra.
The newspaper ticker theme was made available via Creative Commons Attribution License by Mike Koenig, and the showcase theme, Booga Blue, was made available via the Creative Commons Attribution License by the U.S. Army Blues. The song Funeral with Variations was made available via the Creative Commons Attribution License by Stella Wallstrom.